Oh, hey Internet, how's it going? This week, a hotel charging $500 for negative reviews earned itself all kinds of publicity. I think they wish they hadn't. Edward Snowden taught terrorists a valuable lesson in improving their security. Now, if only he could convince everyone else. And Google's gone vigilante, turning in criminals by tracking their email. Is this an overreach of power, or do you only need to worry about it if you're a pedophile? We'll talk about this and more, because my name's Justin Pott, I'm in Boulder, Colorado, and you're listening to Technophilia. Keep doing that. With me today from the UK, as always, is Mr. James Bruce. How's it going, James?
It's good. Do you know the chat room wants free tech support? Is that what they want? Free consultancy?
Well, they're saying they want us to be a consultancy. Yeah, they don't, and she just wants to email us, and we'll answer questions during the show. And I'm saying that's not new. We've been doing that for a long time. You can email us. I mean, my email address is easy to find at makeuseof.com/about. You can email us. We'll answer the questions on the show. We can even make it into a special video feature. Ask Technophilia. I think that could be fun, so that's not a problem. Well, the man who implemented how to edit those videos is Dave LeClaire over in Connecticut. How's it going, Dave?
Who are you talking about?
I'm talking about you, dude. The guy who does the work. You're our video monkey.
I am the video monkey.
Yeah.
I monkey around with a bunch of video files, and I just I kind of just throw them against a wall, and then like whatever comes out, that's the video, and then I just collect my monies, and I'm rich. So
that's
cool.
It, just like that. Yeah.
It's a good system, you know. Just throw it at the wall, see what happens.
This week we got an email that said James is awesome.
No, we didn't.
That didn't happen. Prove it. Screenshot or it didn't happen.
No one would ever send such a video of that or an email of that. It's impossible.
I have 6 email addresses. I could make up at least 5.
Sending an email from James saying James is awesome does not count as an email saying James is awesome.
Oh, well, speaking of emails that we got this week, I got mentioned in a major publication this week for pointing out that someone was full of shit. Did you get one of those leak emails?
I didn't.
Okay, so there's this... Oh, you know what? It's probably because I'm on that bullshit mailing list you're jealous of, James. So they sent me an email from this service that lets you email people anonymously, right? And it said it was from a coworker, and it said, your hair looks really good like that today. You should do it every day. Now, the problem is, I don't know if you can see my surroundings right now, but I work at home. This is a spare bedroom in my house. I don't have any coworkers who would email me, so it was obviously full of crap. There was several other people, a reporter for BuzzFeed, a bunch of freelance journalists, so they were just trying to get publicity. So don't use leak. Don't.
Who did you got mentioned by?
What?
Who mentioned you?
VentureBeat?
Because I'm trying to find Justin Pott leak, and all I'm finding is goddamn Justin Bieber. You are impossible to Google.
I can't be Googled, man. I can't be Googled. As long as
Ungoogleable. That's not a word.
At this point, if Orlando Bloom punched me in the face, it would be impossible to find out about it.
Jesus, even Justin Pott VentureBeat is no good.
Oh. Yeah, you can't do it. Whatever. Moving right along.
Man.
What if you did Justin Pott make use of VentureBeat?
Yeah.
You know what? It doesn't mention me as a make use of person. It just embeds my tweet.
Balls.
Yeah.
What
kind
if
of a
you go to
opportunity.
VentureBeat and then you search on VentureBeat for Justin Pott?
Moving right along. Oh man, let's get to the top story of the week. So, attempted censorship, as we all know, is the fastest path to bad publicity, a lesson Union Street Guesthouse wishes they learned earlier. That business's long-standing policy to charge wedding parties for negative online reviews backfired this week, epically, when the internet collectively decided they didn't like the Hudson, New York hotel's attitude. Nearly 1,000 one-star reviews on Yelp later, the company put out a statement saying the policy was meant to be a joke. If that's true, it hardly matters. The internet's made up its mind, leaving this business with a blight in its search results. So how did this happen, and what can you do? Let's talk about this over a little bit. Our story begins with a tiny hotel in upstate New York, and when I say tiny hotel, I mean the sort of place with 9 rooms. I mean the sort of place with rooms with names like the Live or the Thunderbird Suite. I mean the sort of place with old-fashioned furniture and no free breakfast. This is the kind of place with a website that features a computer on its contact page that looks like it's being sold in 1995 in Radio Shack, okay? This ain't some homogenized Hilton hotel. It's not a national chain. This is not a big company. It's just a little local place that's meant to be an experience. An experience owners thought some people just wouldn't understand. Please Know that despite the fact that wedding couples love Hudson and are in, your friends and family may not visit the company's website before getting into their now famous review policy. If you have booked the inn for a wedding or any type of event anywhere in the region and given us a deposit of any kind for your guests to stay at our inn, there will be a $500 fine that will be deducted from your deposit for every negative review placed on any internet site by anyone in your party and or attending your wedding or event. Wow. Now, for years, this policy was on the hotel's website, and hardly anyone noticed. This week, that changed. The rule, for some reason, went viral, prompting coverage almost everywhere. Now, anyone who understands the internet knows what's likely to happen next. People from across the web, outraged by what they saw as attempted censorship, decided to punish this company by leaving bad reviews. Within 12 hours, Yelp had around 1,000 one-star reviews for the hotel, many from people who openly admitted they never stayed there. Now, attempting to control the damage, the hotel's owners put a response on their Facebook page saying the policy was a joke. The policy, to quote them, was on our site as a tongue-in-cheek reference to a wedding many years ago. It was meant to be taken down long ago and certainly was never enforced. But this hasn't slowed the flow of negative Yelp reviews. Many believe to reviews it was a joke in the first place, and a Yelp review predating the controversy suggests the hotel did in fact charge a wedding party along these lines. Yelp, for their part, are taking down posts left by non-customers. Will likely never know what exactly the business was thinking. But I want to know, James. I want to talk about this. I'm putting together an article with everything you just heard and a little more. What can businesses do to avoid this? What do they need to do?
Here's a good idea. Don't be shit.
Don't be shit.
Crazy.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that?
Try and provide a good quality service and not be a piece of shit. That's pretty crazy, isn't it? I know, right? Like, crazy.
Yeah. Now, I have no idea how good the service actually is at this point because there's so many reviews just about this policy that it's impossible to figure out. If you look at it before, it was about even 5-star to 1-star reviews, but online reviews can't really be trusted. But you can understand why companies, especially small, local companies, freak out about online reviews, right? I mean, this is the yellow pages are gone. You can't pay to be at the top of people's minds anymore.
No, I understand why crap businesses freak out about reviews because then they get called out as they're crap.
Yeah.
I can't understand why just a small business doesn't worry about it necessarily.
Can I tell you a little bit of the story why? Because I work for a small business.
Go on then.
We did a really good job. We tried to do everything to make customers happy. Sometimes customers are just psychos, James. I don't know if you know the blog Not Always Right. But some people, if you don't, do $800 worth of work for free, they're going to be pissed off and leave bad reviews. And then I don't know how much experience you have dealing with Yelp, James, but they bury so many 5-star reviews, and the 1-star ones are impossible to get rid of. So what are you supposed to do?
They bury 5-star reviews.
What?
What do you mean they bury 5-star reviews?
Okay, so Yelp, most people don't know this. By default, if you look at the listing, only the reviews they have deemed relevant show up at the top.
Interesting.
So we had, I think, about 200 5-star reviews, and they deemed only to show about 30 5-star reviews, and then the 10 1-star reviews we had from people who I think were psychos, I'm not going to get into this too much, showed up at the top. Now, this has changed since, but it can be really struggle, and you just feel like these companies are controlling your destiny. Now,
presumably those 5-star reviews, even if they weren't highlighted, they still go into the average, though. It's not like
they don't go
into the average. Wow.
They do not go into the average. They're just buried.
Okay, well, I don't think that's a problem of reviews in general. I think that's a problem for Yelp being a crap site, then.
Yeah, but it's a crap site that everyone uses, and no one. I mean, you keep up with tech news for a living, and you didn't know that.
I would be more interested in suing Yelp for burying good reviews. Then there's no excuse to do that. I assume that stops if you pay them.
You know what, Ryan, our coworker, did a huge look into whether this stops when you pay them, and he basically.
Oh yeah, I did read that. That was excellent.
Yeah, he did a really good job. He actually talked to the CEO of Yelp. Yeah, so it's complicated there, right? They say it's because they're spotting bad patterns. What's up?
The CEO of Yelp was talking complete shit.
Yeah.
And Ryan called him out on that, which was good. I thought it was going to be like, we got this guy to talk about it, and we believe him, but it wasn't. It was like, we got him an interview, and he was talking crap.
That's what CEOs do.
Yeah. I mean, you can't think of many CEOs in the world who just say what they think instead of like
Why do you call
trying to represent the company.
Sounds like.
What was that, James? You
Do you not have B&Bs?
This isn't a B&B. It's a hotel. They call themselves a hotel. We have B&Bs. It's just a very small hotel, like they used to have back in the day.
Huh.
Yeah.
I think the difference that separates them is a B&B is like a house.
Yeah.
You don't
People
have
live
like
there.
actual
This only has
proper-
9 rooms. It's like a house, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's the separation I think that makes the difference. Like it's every room is its own, has its own separate entrance, whereas like a B&B you walk into a house and have a bedroom. I've never stayed at a B&B. I've always been sketched out by the idea of those things, just staying in a place where it's just like you're just like in a house and like I don't want to be in I want to be like have my own door that goes from outside or is not accessible.
You want your own door that goes outside. Oh my god, what are you talking about?
Not necessarily outside.
It's the door that goes to the hallway, jackass. We're getting buried in a technicality here. We do have B&Bs here. This is not a B&B.
So this hotel was lying its ass off, though, because it said it was a joke. It clearly wasn't when it actually did act upon this
So
threat.
I looked into this a little more, and according to the owner, and the internet's skeptical about this, and I don't think they're wrong to be skeptical, the owner said it was on the website as a joke, but then an employee we hired didn't know it was a joke and started actually enforcing it, but I didn't know they were enforcing it. That's what the owner said. I don't know. I just think it's
so many employees in a hotel with 9 rooms that you don't know what they're doing. That says a lot about you as a manager then. I mean, sorry.
So,
and if you look at their other
wouldn't be half the
presumably
story if not for the current cultural hatred of everything hipster, right? And this is a hotel that's got the used furnitures, right? It tries to promote itself. And even the policy I read earlier, it's like, you know what? Like, you, the bridal party, you're smart. You get it. You know why this is cool. It's your stupid relatives that are the problem. They're not smart enough. So we have to have this policy because they're not as hip as us. Is kind of, I think there was a backlash because of that. And I think if you look at responses the business owner did to these reviews, sometimes they're just like, I know you just wanted to get drunk, you jerks. So no, not that. But he's like, I know you wanted to get drunk all weekend. Sorry, the ice maker was down. Like there's just this attitude problem in the response to the reviews that I think just made everyone picture the hipster in their neighborhood that they hate, and it just took off like wildfire. This is all going to blow over. Yelp's taking down the fake reviews. In the meantime, though, I think you're right in a way, James. The only way you can counter bad reviews is by improving your customer service and encouraging people who are happy to leave reviews. That's really the biggest thing you can do. That's positive to control this. When someone is clearly happy.
Is Yelp really that popular for hotels? I always thought of Yelp as for restaurants.
You know what? If you Google Union Street Hotel, the second result is the Yelp page, and in the search results, it shows the star average. So that's really it, right? It doesn't matter if Yelp's that important for reviews.
What you can also do as consumers is go and write good reviews and bad reviews when you feel they're justified.
Yeah.
Don't just leave it up to the weirdos on the internet. You know, take part.
Yeah, that's the real
problem. Make any sense.
That's the real problem with reviews. It's only the people, for the most part, who have a really bad experience who take the time to write a review, right? Because they're pissed off and they want that control. People who have a good experience don't think to leave a review for the most part, and that makes the services less useful.
So I don't know about where you are in America, but over here we have this service called Checker Trade, which is where if you want like a local tradesperson, like a plumber or a builder or whatever, you can go to Checker Trade and they have tons listed, and they pay a little bit to get listed on there, but they're all honest reviews, and you can get actual feedback on what they're like and look at examples and stuff. And I only use that to get tradespeople, and when they finish their job, I leave a review. It's worked out really well for me. I trust them. Yeah, I would honestly only use those. Like, if someone comes to your door offering you a service, tell them to fuck off. Seriously, that's not the way to do business.
You know who showed up at my door yesterday?
Jehovah's Witnesses.
Comcast Comcast is going door to door in this neighborhood trying to get people to sign up for their internet service. They might offer me a faster up speed. I might take them up on it. Maybe I'll ask them to sponsor the show. And I'll keep talking crap about them, but they can give me free internet. That might be my deal. But anyways, Comcast this week is continuing to make headlines about their customer service. The good people over at The Verge have had an ongoing series outlining their customer service record, and this week they handed over their handbook for talking customers out of canceling service. There's just a list here, and I thought what we would do is I'm going to roleplay a customer calling up a customer service retention agent, calling up Dave, who wants to quit Comcast. And James, you're going to help me out by talking me through these steps. Make sense?
Okay.
Okay, so go ahead, Dave. Call me up and try to quit Comcast. I dare you.
Bring, bring, bring. That's the phone ringing. You gotta answer.
I picked it up.
Within one ring, I might add.
Yeah, what's up, dog? I wants to cancel my Comcast.
Oh,
now, Justin,
hi. My name is Justin. I'm with Comcast. How can I help you? What's your name?
My name is Bill. I want to cancel this shit.
All right, clarify the reason for the call.
So wait, just to be clear, you want to cancel the best internet on the planet and go with something else?
Yeah, that's what I want.
Okay,
Man.
relate and empathize.
I gotta say, man, I can see where you're coming from. Sometimes internet doesn't work quite the way you want. I just want to say I understand it. But you know what?
Take control.
What?
You're wrong if you think you can find someone else who's going to provide you a better quality of internet like this. You're wrong if you think you're going to have a better deal somewhere else. I really think we need to think about this. We need to think about this very clearly.
All right, set the agenda.
Now, I think what you want to do is not cancel your internet, and I'm seeing here that you don't have cable. Do you hate Game of Thrones? What's wrong with you?
Yo, I just pirate everything, bitch. What?
Oh, well, we're going to bust you for that. That's not...
Ask some targeted questions.
Why do you pirate stuff? Do you not care about the law? Do you hate America?
I don't think that's the kind of question they ask.
Now, what I'm hearing is that you want to watch these shows. You just want the quality to be better. And you know what? If you pay us more for HD, you can get that.
Yo, I ain't even got cable. Why would I want HD cable? I just want
you need
internet
Go in for the
cable.
skill. Take ownership, make an offer.
No, okay. I gotta tell you, you and I think we've got a rapport here. I feel like we're friends. I think what you want
Dad, I
to do...
hate you, bitch.
Overcome objections.
You don't hate me. You don't hate me. You hate the negative experiences you've had. But you're going to have a worse experience if you go with someone else. You just gotta... You know what? You're an asshole. And
What?
everyone thinks you're an asshole, and you're not going to overcome this until you just pay us for cable.
I don't even know how to respond to that shit. You're supposed to be a customer service person. I call you an asshole. You don't call me an asshole. I'm the customer.
Well,
Right, offer to upgrade his internet because it's not fast enough. He needs to download quicker.
yeah, you know what? Yeah, we're going to give you faster internet. We're going to get you bundled into the cable package. It's only going to cost you $250 a month. And I think this is a really good deal. I think we're going to go ahead and do this.
So you telling me I could get that downloaded piracy faster?
Faster piracy.
Oh, man. All right, sign me up, bitch.
Okay. Done. Just give me your credit card number, and we'll do this. You know what? I feel like we're friends. We should hang out this weekend. That was
My credit card number is 7.
7. Ooh, early adopter. I like that.
I wanted to be 1, but I couldn't get it.
Holy shit. I can't believe these are actually their steps. I was being a bit of an asshole there on purpose because I really have to... I have a lot of empathy for the people who have to do this job. So last night we had someone from Comcast stop by the door and talk to me. And I could have treated him like a dick, but you know what? He's just a human. He's just a human who has a job, and he's being told to go door to door between the hours of 5 and 9 p.m. every night and try to get people to pay for cable. That sucks. Why is the company making them do that? That makes no sense. And that's the thing with this list here, right? You can't take it out on the people. It's impossible. There's no way to do this well. There just isn't.
Unfortunately, Justin, as your supervisor, I have to say you failed to perform a credit check on the number 7 and therefore you automatically fail. It turns out Dave can't actually afford it because he's living on benefits right now. So good job.
What, you'd say number 7 is not a valid credit card?
I'm saying your credit check sucks, Dave.
What's 7?
That's an auto.
Yeah, what I meant was 7 is my credit score, not my credit card number.
Out of 1,000.
I'm gonna go to Amazon right now and charge everything to 7. Oh man, no, like, could you imagine working this job, Dave? You've got people who are angry, want to leave, and you're told that you have to do all of these 13 points. Not only do you have to convince them not to leave, but you have to follow this script, which is impossible and not related to any kind of actual human interaction.
I mean, you can relate each of those things to a normal human interaction, though. Like,
yeah,
you know, you clarify the reason, so you just want to make sure you understand what they're calling for. So, so you're upset that your internet is too slow. Well, I can relate to that. I also have had experiences with slow internet, but blah, 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 that's where you take control. So, I mean, I could see how you could flow these into a conversation if you practiced at it. It's kind of like any sales script. There's you know.
But here's the point, okay? This sales script shouldn't be a sales script. These are people calling to ask you to do something. That should be routine, and it's being turned into an upsell opportunity. Like, this is going to drive people away from working with cable companies eventually. If there's anything that can overcome cable's monopoly, it's the cable companies themselves, because this isn't how you treat customers. It just isn't. You
can't blame them for trying to prevent you from canceling. I mean, it's the same thing as, like, you know, you're trying to get at your restaurant, you're trying to get people to leave a positive Yelp review or something. You know, nobody wants to lose a customer. So, I mean, they got to try.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you can't just say, like, oh, you want to cancel? All right, fuck off, leave. We don't care. You know what I mean? That's a paying customer. You want to try to keep them.
But there has to be...
it shouldn't be an upsell. It should be actually thinking about, well, how can we make them happy to keep them, not how can we sell them more shit to keep them.
Yeah.
That's really the problem.
I think they're allowed to offer better offers as well, though. They're allowed to say, well, look, we can give you $20 off your internet each month.
They are, and that's actually what the Comcast sales rep told me yesterday. Like, okay, this is just a promotional deal, but if you tell them you're going to switch at the end of it, you'll probably get the deal back. So you just have to be an asshole to someone working in customer service once a year to have a decent rate for your internet speed. The whole business model is based on most customers being too lazy to change things. And it just rubs me the wrong way.
Well, also, it's based on there not any competition.
Well, yeah, there's no competition, so they can do that, right?
Where are you going to go?
I phoned up my internet provider and told them I was going to switch to something else because theirs sucked, and they're like, okay, we'll give you free TV. Like, all right.
See, I don't really even have that option because the Comcast knows that I have the fastest internet that they offer, which is the fastest internet that anybody offers, so... What am I going to say? I go somewhere slower. I can't really say there's nowhere better because I have the best internet in my area. Yeah.
So it's just a matter of treating your customers like people. There's just a lack of empathy. They turned everything into a script. And I mostly wanted to say how much I feel bad for the customer service reps themselves. It's not their fault. They're in an impossible situation. That's how I feel.
It's true. It being in retention has to be the worst job ever.
I can't imagine. So if you're working in retention right now and listening to this podcast instead of doing your job, we feel for you. We feel for you. Come work for us.
Come be on the podcast. I would like to hear what it's like to be a retention agent.
Do that? Can we find someone who works in retention and get them? That would
I don't know how much. We might be better off with someone who used to work in retention because I don't know how much someone who currently works in retention could say. But someone who is pissed off that they left that job, they might be willing to just open up to us like we never thought possible.
Totally. Well, if anyone listening has worked in customer retention before, get in touch with us. You can find my email at makeuseof.com/about, and we'd love to talk with you. Moving right along, gentlemen, Edward Snowden did a valuable lesson for the terrorists by teaching them how to improve their security. A big data firm has analyzed their behavior, that of the terrorists, and found out that they, upgraded from XP and did a lot of other stuff to make sure that their communication was more clearly locked down. Now, Obviously, how some people are going to spin this is that Edward Snowden is a terrorist. I don't think that. I just think when you provide information like this, of course people are going to improve their security. I just wish everyone would.
I already said this last year when England was like, oh, like before we knew all this was going on, and someone in the government said, oh, we're going to make a new law about we can intercept all your phone calls and look at all your internet now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Remember when I said, well, basically that's just going to do a favor for everyone because everyone else is going to upgrade their internet and privacy. Snowden.
Yeah, I mean, the people who care, right? This is kind of the crazy thing. So now they've got the NSA spying on pretty much everyone's communications on the internet, but anyone who actually has anything to hide is going to use encryptions. So I don't know what this gets them. Now they are breaking a lot of the encryption codes, but how long can you keep that up? Maybe forever. Maybe I'm an idiot. I don't know. But I think, I mean, this quite clearly reveals that if you want to communicate online without the government snooping, you've got to do so securely. You've got to find other tools that are hard to break into. And,
not Tor.
Not Tor, yeah. Tor, man. That service, you know.
Any particular reason why we can't see your video feed, Dustin?
Right now? Oh, I don't know. I thought you could.
Just don't touch it. You're gonna break something. Don't do it.
Yeah, you know what? If I try to mess with it at this point, the actual recording is gonna break. So.
When we take the break, we can mess with it. Just leave everything the way it is.
Yeah. I have it set to show video. Whatever. We should have brought that up during the break. Video during the live show doesn't matter. We gotta get the video going out looking good.
Yeah, bitch.
So, moving right along from there, protesters have been putting signs on Airbnb houses throughout San Francisco. Now, these are the same protesters who were picketing Google's buses. I mean, these people feel like the technology sector has taken over their town. They can't live in their town anymore because rents have gone up so much. And now other people are buying houses and just renting them out on Airbnb without having to pay hotel tax. So these signs they're putting on all of the windows and doors of these Airbnb houses just basically say that these have been illegally converted to hotels. And you know what? This might be shut down at any point. If you leave the premises, it says, be advised to bring any and all personal possessions, as you might not be allowed to go back into the hotel.
That's rubbish, though, right? This is just some bullshit that a hipster's pasting up there.
You know what? I'm not sure it entirely is rubbish. I mean, this all legally needs to be worked out. Because...
Well, wait, the police aren't actually going to go in and stop tourists from getting back into the apartment they've rented, have they? They're not going to do that.
They might. I don't think this is outside... And I want to make a distinction here between you, James Bruce, renting out a room in your house as a bed and breakfast where you live, and people who just buy houses specifically for the purposes of renting them out on Airbnb, because people are doing that. There's apparently 5 in my little town here, Boulder, Colorado. And in a town where real estate prices are obscenely high, that's a bit of a problem. And where hotel tax makes up a lot of the municipal tax base, that's a bit of a problem. So I could see it being shut down. If they deem that they're effectively acting as a hotel, it could happen.
You know what? Buying a house for the purposes of renting it out is evil anyway, regardless of whether you do it on Airbnb or not.
Why is that? That's a good investment.
What do you mean, why is that? That's just, it's the most pointless thing that drives up...
For the purposes...
drives up rent, drives up everything.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't drive up rent. That would, in theory, drive rent down, wouldn't it?
No.
If there's more housing on the market, no?
Well, no, because there's not more housing on the market. There's less, because people are buying them up to rent.
You're saying renting it out as if it were a hotel.
It's called buy to rent. No, not as a hotel, just to rent. If you buy a house for the purpose of renting it, you are an evil bastard. And you really shouldn't do that. It's a major problem here in London. I'm surprised you don't have the same thing over there in big cities.
We have this, but I'm just not sure what legal basis you could stop it on. I don't think it's morally wrong. I think it's just kind of annoying. Why would that be wrong? Is it wrong to rent out houses? Should everyone just buy houses? Like, what are you saying?
Yes, it is wrong. It's wrong to buy up a house just for the purpose of renting it.
Why? Some people can't afford to buy a house. Some people want to buy houses and rent them out.
No one did that to be nowhere to
be affordable housing. It is. It's wrong. Sorry.
I'm really struggling to see your point here.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to disagree.
Well, you should come to London and see what some of the prices are like. Like the average price is about $3,000 a month to rent.
Yeah, that's the case in any big major city, though. Like
Yeah.
when you go out to the smaller little towns, the prices are cheaper.
Yeah.
All right, some Brits who live in London, back me up here. Oh, we've only got 12
Okay.
people in the chat room. Whatever.
I mean, if you go to like New York City, it's like $5,000 for a one-room
Now,
studio.
I want to get to this. Do you think it's immoral to own an apartment building and rent out apartments?
Yes.
So just any kind of real estate-based rental is just wrong. What about hotels? I know I want to break this down.
Well, hotels are set up specifically to be hotels, right?
Apartments are set up specifically to be apartments, so everyone should own the housing they live in.
Everyone should be able to own the house that they want to live in, yes. The problem is that when you've got people who are far richer than you buying up houses, a lot of the housing stock, in order to simply rent it out, you drive up the prices and you make it unaffordable for everyone else. That's the problem. That's why no one can afford a house nowadays, ever. Anyone.
That must be a UK thing, because over here there is far more houses for sale than people to buy the houses.
Right.
I mean,
I'm talking specifically to London here, but I don't know what it's like in America, but over here it's disgusting.
Well, like I said, I think that's the case with any major city, though. Like when you're talking about like a big metropolitan hub where everybody wants to live, demand is always going to outstrip supply.
In fairness, the size of England is only the size of like New York, so.
Yeah. Like in my town, like just in my condo development, which has like 80 units, at any given time, there's usually 2 or 3 of them for sale. You know, there's always plenty of houses if you want a house.
I mean, I've always thought I rent myself personally, live here in Boulder, and it just seems like a pain in the ass to buy something and then need to sell it later and do all that. So whatever, I'm paying for flexibility. And I don't know, I like renting because when there's a problem, I can just call someone and they'll fix it, and I have a pool without having to take care of it. Maybe I'm an idiot, but I like that.
I mean, when me and Jess move out of here, we're gonna rent this place. We're not gonna sell it. So, are we evil, James? Are we evil?
Well, the thing is, you have these things called mortgages that you take out in order to buy a house. But someone will take out this mortgage, and right now the government here, they actually help them. They say you can take out another mortgage on your second home with only a 5% deposit, right? So they buy this other house, and then they charge more rent than they're paying on the mortgage. Their mortgage is paid off, and other people are getting screwed over. And it's not fair when there aren't enough houses. That's why. That's
really what the problem comes down to. Yeah, there's no room. That's the problem. They're in he's talking about in a major city.
I saw a photo of the friggin' Stonehenge. There's lots of grassy space around it. Just but
he's referring to specifically in London, where there isn't room to slap up houses, and that's the same thing with.
Now we're getting into the Technophilia podcast here, where we explain to James the basic concepts of supply and demand. People want to live there, so the prices are going to go up. You can't control that. If you just said
that's not true at all.
Why not? Why not? So what?
People don't want to live there.
The government tells people it is now illegal to rent out property here.
Yes, that's what you can do. You can place rent controls onto apartments and buildings in order to prevent prices escalating at the rate that they are.
No, but you know what happens when you do that?
What?
Now you have a lot of people who want to get into these rent-controlled places.
Which would be
and not all of them can, so you have to implement some kind of lottery system, and it skews the market. It makes it so that there's even more demand.
You get it now. It would just be a lot less money going to a particular few people who are rich enough to be able to buy multiple houses and rent them out.
No, so then what happens is people can't live where they want to, so now they have to it's this cascading effect. All it does is it gives the people who happen to be lucky enough to get into the rent-controlled apartments a nice subsidy from the government, and the people who weren't lucky enough get screwed even worse than before because there's less housing on the market, and the housing that remains goes up even further. It's completely unfair.
That's just not true. Sorry.
That is true. This has been shown. There's so many studies pointing this out. But okay, unless you control the entire rent of the city, but then who determines
whole point
or not? What?
That's the whole point. Yes, you would put rent controls on the
entire city.
So you want communism for your apartment rentals?
All right, whatever.
There's a fundamental disagreement here. I think, yeah. Anyways, I don't think it's legit to just buy a house and then rent it out on Airbnb without having to pay hotel taxes. If you do that, you should have to pay hotel tax like everyone else.
But you're not a hotel. Why the hell would you do that?
You're amazing. Define a hotel?
A place that you don't live in.
You rent out.
Yeah. What's up?
A place with a bunch of rooms. Just buying a house is what? Are you doing each room?
So here's the deal, okay? Here's the deal with Airbnb. If you buy a house,
use Airbnb.
Okay, but let's say you buy a house to rent it out for tourists who are just going to stay for a couple days, okay? If enough people start doing this, eventually there's going to be some terrible story where there's like a health problem in the hotel. Sorry, not the Airbnb. Not the hotel, the Airbnb house, right? And then the government's going to step in and be like, okay, Airbnb people, you need to meet certain health regulations in order to operate in this city. And what we're going to do is we're going to tax you a little bit so that we can afford to pay the tax inspectors to come around and do it. So then, okay. And then there's going to be some other story about someone complaining that they didn't get the quality of service that they wanted, and they sue it, and then the city's like, okay, Airbnb people, you need to reach a certain level of quality in terms of comfort in order to operate in the city, and eventually, over the course of maybe 10 years, maybe 20, you're going to end up with a regulation system in place for Airbnbs that looks a lot like the hotel system we have right now. I think the same thing would happen eventually. I mean, if going back to Uber, the car rental service, you're going to see this happen over time. 20 years from now, Uber is going to look exactly like the taxi system it was meant to upend, because over time, more and more regulations are going to steep in by necessity, and you're going to end up with something exactly alike. So why don't cities just head this off at the pass, call Uber drivers, taxi drivers, it's going to happen anyways. Disruption is a temporary, momentary, fleeting thing. It's not permanent. That's my point. That's what I'm getting at here.
I think the tax thing is a bit of red herring, isn't it? Because presumably you pay income tax if you rent out your Airbnb house.
Okay, I don't know how it is in London, but here in Boulder, hotels they're taxed about 30%. It's a really popular thing in the States because,
Sorry, you cut out. What did you say?
Here in Boulder, hotels are taxed something like 30%. I don't actually know. It's really popular in the States to tax hotels like crazy because no one who votes in your area ever stays in a hotel. So the tax rates are really high, and most cities depend on it.
Interesting.
So eventually they're going to start taxing the Airbnb stuff the same way. It's probably not a bad move for governments to just say, if you're owning a house for Airbnb, you're a hotel, and you got to pay the same taxes as everyone else. Yeah.
But you're not a hotel, because if you just tell your friend that they can stay in your house for a week and pay you some money, but that doesn't make you a hotel, does it?
That's totally different than if you're online advertising the place as a place where visitors can stay. Totally different.
I don't think it is. It's not like you're listing on a hotel site. You're listing on Airbnb, which was...
You're right. Governments are stupid.
I think it's different.
They should just let this happen.
An entirely different case.
Why? What's the difference?
Hey, they're being disruptive, man.
Yeah, and what I'm saying is they'll be just the same as the hotels in 10 years. Guys, let's take our break and make sure our
Okay, let's get back to this, jerks. Countries do not own their top-level domains, and as such, you can't seize a domain, take it away from them, because it's not theirs to begin with. That's what ICANN has told the U.S. government that was trying to seize the top-level domain of Iran, Syria, and North Korea. Kind of a weird technical point. What is property? Is it top-level domain name property? I mean, lots of people are trying to buy .pizza right now. Now they're saying it's not really a property? I don't understand. Is it just being leased? James?
I'm confused. Does America own the domain names then? Because that's...
No, ICANN does.
Like, is that the...
ICANN does.
Well, that's American controlled, though.
Is ICANN?
Who's ICANN?
I thought ICANN was international at this point. It used to be American.
I thought the whole problem was that was American. Wasn't that?
ICANN is the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers. They are, let me see where they're based. I mean, they're not run by the government. But they are based in Los Angeles, California.
Well, they got to be based somewhere.
Yeah. But they're not part of the U.S. government. They're a separate institution completely. And they just told the U.S. government, no, you can't just seize these things because they're not property. Which seems like a weird loophole.
Technically, if you think about it, you don't... Like, when you buy something, your purchase of it does not have an expiration date, but when you buy a domain, it does, you know? So you are renting, you're leasing it.
But this is saying that the United States of America does not own .us. It's saying that the United Kingdom does not own .uk. That ICANN is letting them use it because they're nice, but they don't own them. So
makes sense to me.
I don't think anyone really owns them, do they? It's just a collective agreement between ISPs that one will point to a certain space.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing that it's not a thing to own. It's just an entry in a table. Mm-hmm. What they should have done is to contact the City of London Police and just said that this site was doing some pirating, because then the City of London Police will get in touch with the ISP and
it wasn't about particular sites. It was about the entire domain name. The U.S. government wanted ICANN to say, no, North Korea, you don't get to use your top-level domain anymore because we don't like you. And ICANN said they're not going to do that.
How can you do that? You can't just take away a top-level domain for a country.
You can try.
What a dick. God, America's such a dick sometimes.
Well, we are talking about North Korea here. I don't know what they're using it for.
Yeah, I wouldn't take away their domain, though. That's just evil.
You could do a lot. You can attack their country and go to war, but you don't mess with the brother's domain name.
You don't take away their internet address. That's cruel. I mean, come on, there are standards. We have, there should be a human right.
Well, this is why ICANN was formed. They wanted the U.S. government to not have direct control anymore, so they made a not-for-profit company that's standing up for its rights. And I guess this is a sign of that working. That they're making this argument.
That's right. You tell them, bitches. Those are my domain names.
Wow, North Korea's website has some weird effects going. Holy shit. Okay. Check out North Korea's website, James. You might like it. Moving right along. So Google turned in a guy who had child abuse images in his email. We all know that Google's watching us constantly because we see ads related to the things that we write emails about. But is this a step too far? I mean... How are they doing this, James? And should I be worried about them watching me?
I don't know if you should be worried, Justin. You tell me. No, they're doing it because every image can have a signature associated, if you like. It's like a hashing function.
Okay.
So each image will have a signature, basically. And if there's a database of signatures of images which are evil or child abuse, then it matches it. It doesn't mean they're scanning your email. It just means that they have... obviously, if you put a file in your Gmail, Google has it,
So wait,
right?
they have a database of hashes of, known child abuse images? Is that what...
Yes, the same as we do in the UK.
Okay.
So if you have one on your computer, if you send one through a UK ISP, then they will know about it, and they'll contact the ISP and arrest you. It's no different, actually. I don't know why this is a story, but good.
Well, no, it's a story because it's a private company that allows you to store information on their servers saying that, hey, if the information you put on these servers is illegal, we're going to turn you in. How is that not a story?
Well, it's not a story for me because, like I say, the UK has it at every ISP level anyway, so it wouldn't matter if a private company was doing it. The moment it left your connection... Yeah. It would be noticed and picked up upon. So the fact that it's in Gmail is irrelevant to me. But I'm surprised you don't have the same thing in America at a country.
No, we have something in America called a constitution, and the cops aren't allowed to search your stuff without a warrant. They're not allowed to look through your stuff without a warrant.
That's fun.
So this is the equivalent of me, being a drug owner or something. And I don't know, is that what they call themselves? Yo, dude, I'm a drug owner. I'm ignorant. I don't know about this stuff. And I put my stuff in storage, right? And the storage facility just looked through everyone's stuff and saw that there was drugs in one of them, so they called the cops. This is kind of what that's like. Now, most storage places wouldn't do that because I think drug money is like half of their revenue, right? So they're not going to do that. So I guess the reason this might be a problem is because all child porn users are going to stop using Gmail. You're right. That's not a story. It's not an issue. I don't know what I'm talking about. Don't use Gmail, child porn fans. Ugh. I feel really gross now.
Honestly,
stop being child
why
porn
would
fans.
That's the better point. Yeah, child porn's bad. There's just no way to morally justify
Don't
that.
call it child porn. Yep. Porn has a good connotation with it. That's why I put child abuse images.
Child abuse images. Okay, I could see that. I don't think... Okay, I could see that. Good point. This is just messed up. It's people hurting children. So that's pretty interesting how they're not looking at our email systematically, and there's no one hired by Gmail whose job it is to see if I'm breaking the law day by day. It's just that these files happen to match up. Could they use the same thing for intellectual property? Let's say I wanted to email Dave a hot new jam. Could they use the same thing to figure that out? Would you be okay with it then?
They could, of course they could, but the problem is that so many people do that, it would be absolutely impractical, and Google wouldn't want to do it.
Yeah, okay.
That's the problem. We do it with child abuse because that's on a level that is fundamentally fucking evil and has to be taken down, right? But something like pirating music, no one really gives a shit about.
Yeah.
That's the honest to God truth. No one gives a shit.
No one is like...
Whereas this they do.
Standing up for the... Well, people give a shit. They just think that they're the scum of the earth, and they're not totally wrong. Like, children are messed up in a way that's going to be with them for the rest of their lives in the production of these images. There's no way around that. So, yeah.
So, I mean, we accept it in the UK on a countrywide level. I think it's European, actually. It's the whole of Europe which has this system in place.
Yeah. But, Gmail's encrypted, right? So only Google would be able to do this scan.
Probably not with your NSA being able to break everything.
Yeah, but the Europe can't. No, that's the interesting thing here. It's not the NSA that caught them. It's Google themselves taking the initiative and saying, we're going to, even though we're not obligated to legally, turn these people in. That's what they're doing. It's kind of unprecedented. I can't think of another company saying that. Yeah. So that's kind of why it's a story. I don't know. For any other crime, like if they were scanning my email and if I mentioned I'm going to buy some drugs, they automatically turn me into the cop, I think I'd be kind of pissed off. But for some reason, this one crime is so heinous that I'm okay with almost any level we take to stop it. And that makes me uncomfortable in a way because this could be used for other things later. Does that make sense, James?
Yeah, but I think it's unfounded.
It's unfounded? Fair enough. Let's move right along. What's this, James? What do we got here?
Oh, you know how Microsoft basically bought the hardware division of Nokia, and they're also making a ton of cuts. This extends to some of the Chinese factories, of course, where they're not going to make is it Android Lumia phones anymore? So they're asking a bunch of employees to quit, and as a leaving bonus, they're giving them one of these really crappy Nokia phones.
Oh, nice. So they all have Windows phones.
The thing they've slaved away at for the last 12 months, getting paid $5 a year to make. Here, have one of them. It's crap, but have it.
This is interesting to me because Apple would never have to do this. They don't own any of the factories. They work with contractors. Apparently Nokia owned some of these factories in China and were like paying them as employees. That's interesting to me. I just didn't realize that. It's a totally different model. Yeah. Anyways, I don't think that's going to make people feel much better, but if you don't own a smartphone, it might be pretty cool to get one of those. If you've never had one. Send me a phone, Microsoft. Moving right along, let's do the gaming news, the part of the show where Dave talks. Dave, what do we got this week?
My throat hurts. No, I don't even. There's some stuff about virtual reality on here that is just. I just spaced out when I saw it because I was like, virtual reality. That shit is dumb.
So I'm assuming this is a James story. A standard photo of someone using the Rift with their mouth open. How come every photo of someone using the Rift, their mouth is open?
Because they're just.
Because that's the general reaction.
Awe. They're just like.
It's just like, oh my god.
It's almost like it's real, but it's not real.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Okay. So
it's like it's kind of real.
I this was otherwise kind of a minor story, but I thought it was quite interesting in that I think it was Stanford University who did some experiments, and they compared it to say. Okay, the experiment was that they put someone in virtual reality, gave them a chainsaw-like device, like a input thing, and then they had them cut down some trees and then it was all to do with saving paper, basically, and they found out that after you'd done this, when she left the forest and re-entered the real world, her paper consumption dropped by 30%.
What?
And she'll show a preference for recycled paper products.
No.
And those continue for they said it was a fairly permanent shift in people's attitudes. And they did the same thing with like some other people where they only had them, say, read an article about paper production or whatever.
What about watch a movie?
The effect of that stopped after a week.
Huh.
I don't know if they did that. They didn't compare them all. But the idea was that something that you experience in VR can and will affect you permanently, show a permanent shift in perception.
What if you take someone on a field trip to the
Which is
forest?
both worrying and... well, that would... You'd have to get them to cut down a tree, though. I'm not sure if that's...
People are cutting down trees.
You could take them to the Amazon rainforest, yes, and show them the effects that it had there.
Yeah.
That would probably be effective, too. Although that probably costs a lot, obviously.
Interesting.
But I thought this was scary.
So your mind interprets virtual reality as more real than just a movie or a book.
It does, and it affects us deeper than we would want to understand, than we would want to admit.
Well, I could see why you're pushing this technology, because I know you plan for your son to take over the world, and this could be a way for him to do that.
I don't plan for it, I just think it's going to happen naturally.
Naturally, organically. Has he already shown signs that this is his intention?
No, he's only 8 weeks.
He's only 8 weeks, yeah, well maybe
Give him
he
a chance.
just cries for no reason just to make sure that you're obeying him or something like that. Every child kind of seems like a future dictator when I think about it. Moving right along, Thailand has banned a video game. Seems like a good move. Dave, do you know why?
Well, the game is Tropico 5.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a city building game, kind of like like a Sim City, but it's on like you build a little island and whatever.
Okay.
And apparently
you're a dictator, basically.
Yeah,
it?
Exactly. I played. Well, I play. Do I have 5? I don't. You know.
I played 3, I think.
I've played. I want to say 4, but do I have 5? I'm looking at my Steam list right now.
I'm thinking I might get it after reading Thailand bans it. It must be good, right?
I have Tropico 4, but I have played 171 hours of Tropico 4. So apparently I played quite a bit of that game. They consider it a threat to national security.
Because in the game...
Well, I think the problem is that
the
themes in the game are very similar to what's actually happened in Thailand, and people might be playing it and thinking, wait, what? That's what happened here? You mean we're living under a dictatorship?
But the thing is, Tropico 3 and 4 were both released there without issues. So if people want to practice their dictators' skills, they can still do it in 4.
Mm-hmm.
But in Thailand, the military actually took over. The junta took over. There was an expansion for Tropico 4 about the junta.
Was there?
Oh. I didn't have
Apparently.
that.
Like, about this junta specifically, or just about a junta?
Well, I think it was called junta, which is what... I don't even know that. Is that just like a Thai word for military or something?
Okay. I don't want to get into the intricacies of the Thai politics right now.
That would be crap.
It's complicated. Holy crap, is it complicated. Yeah, so many levels.
Yeah, so... That sucks for people in Thailand who wanted to play Tropico 5.
But it's good for the rest of the world, because now there's a definitive, ruling that this game is good. Generally, whenever I see XX banned, I'm like, oh, I better pick that game up then. It's probably going to be pretty cool.
Yeah,
I really like the Tropico games.
Do you not get that?
I have not played 5, but I really like I really like Tropico.
Sometimes
4.
I wonder...
It's what SimCity was promised to be and wasn't.
Sometimes I wonder if video companies...
You don't have to play it as a bad president.
Sometimes I wonder if video game companies pay governments to ban games for publicity. Because I never would have heard of this game if not for this.
That could be true.
Yeah. I think BitTorrent Sync is interfering with my audio quality. Because I don't feel like I'm being heard.
Shit.
It's going for fast, though. Moving right along. Okay. From Make Use of This Week. Oh, James, did you add this? I wrote an article about ignoring set-top boxes and using a PC instead. You guys can check that out. It was basic. This isn't anything you've heard before.
I thought it was cool, because...
This isn't anything you've heard before. I've made all these arguments on this show. Actually, I came up with the idea for this article based on discussions I've had on this show here, and finally got around to compiling them. Getting a lot of good comments about this one. People who agree, people who disagree. basically, it boils down to flexibility. You can do whatever you want with a computer, and Amazon and Apple are designing these boxes with a lot of control. Now, the exception, someone pointed out, is a Chromecast, which you can use to watch whatever the hell you want. So, that's cool. But, yeah.
Yeah, one of the comments I saw on our Facebook page was somebody said how, like, this is great for, your tinkerers and, make use of people, but, like, for somebody's mom, it's much easier to say, here's an Apple TV, click the big boxes, than it is to give them a computer and say, here, do all this stuff.
I got a comment from somebody's mom who said, I'm a mom and a wife and I can do this. Stop making gendered-based...
All right, well, it doesn't have to be mom. Yeah. It could be grandpa or... my dad is a freaking moron with computers. Yeah. My dad told me that he was excited. My dad just got a new TV, and he told me that he was excited to use his smart TV because since it has internet, he'll be able to Skype with my stepbrother and his kids.
Yeah.
And I said, Dad, I was like, what do you need for Skype to work? He was like, a camera and a microphone. I was like, does your TV have a camera and a microphone? He was like, no. And I was like, well, then how the hell do you think Skype is going to work? Yeah. And he's like, I hadn't considered that. So it doesn't have to be moms.
It's magic, dude. It goes through the screen. Yeah. The screen can read everything.
It doesn't have to be moms. It could be dads, too. But if I handed my dad a PC and said, plug this into your TV and you'll be able to do whatever you want with it, he'd be like, I could go to the internets on it. I
acknowledge this argument in the article. I really do. But if you're smart enough to set up a PC, you should absolutely be doing it because it's just better. It's just better.
Yeah, exactly. If you are a person like us who is familiar with PCs and computers, you can do way more with it than you could ever do with like a closed system like an Apple TV.
Roku's.
Although,
what's up?
The Apple TV does have AirPlay, so I mean, you could pretty much watch whatever you're watching on your computer from the Apple TV.
You could.
I just put my computer back in the living room and just to run Popcorn Time, basically.
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing. If you don't like the interface or XBMC or whatever, you've got so many more choices. Whereas with Apple TV, you can hack it to run some stuff. You're just kind of... But the thing that really got me thinking about this was what happened with Boxy. I mean, that's a lesson for everyone. They just shut down and basically told all their users who spent money on their devices, yeah, we're not supporting that anymore, and it just disappeared. And if you have a computer, you'll always have a choice of something else. That's what really got me thinking about it.
Well, I don't think Apple TV is going anywhere, though, with that particular one. I don't think Apple's going to shut down.
I don't know. Apple hasn't found a way to make money on it yet. They still lose money on that thing, so I don't even think that's a given. Now they've got tons of money.
Okay, I just had an awesome idea for an article. What's up? Let me run it by you. A DIY Xbox Media Center remote control.
Yeah, totally. There's a company. There's a guy online who sells just a little IR receiver, like a little USB IR receiver, and a piece of software comes with it that lets you turn any IR signal into like a keystroke, and you could use that to set up.
God damn it!
It's not even $10, so I don't know if that would necessarily be a good idea.
Yeah, but you still need the remote.
Sucks.
Well, you can get any kind of remote.
Obviously, you can use your TV remote.
Yeah. Right, yeah.
For nothing.
Yeah. Shut up, bitch. I hate you.
I use my old PlayStation 2 DVD remote. That's like the remote I've been using. Yeah. It was like...
I heard that Popcorn Time now lets you broadcast to Apple TV via AirPlay. Is that true, James?
I don't have an Apple TV to test, and I believe it's only in the beta version.
Yeah,
but
I believe it only works.
Heard that too.
I thought I heard that it ironically, only works with Windows, though.
Popcorn Time. Oh, well, it might do. Yeah, I think they're still working on that. Yeah,
that is like the ultimate in weirdness, though. Like this Mac Apple centric feature only works in our Windows version of the software for the time being. Like that is just fucking weird.
Yeah. That's bizarre.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, there you go.
Well, that's all we got this week. Stay tuned to the podcast. We're going to put out a special episode of Technophilia with an interview that I did. I might need to make a little bumper for that, huh, Dave? With someone who's doing a Kickstarter to fund money for their alternative to Google Maps. It's a software service that lets you send a drone out, take a bunch of pictures, and turn it into a high-resolution image. It looks really good. And it was a good conversation I had with him. Everything from the history of aviation law to how much a drone like this costs. It's a couple thousand. You can do it yourself if you have got something you want.
So that's going to go out in the podcast feed as an episode.
Yep.
And we will also have an article on Make Use Of and the video of said interview. So however you would like to consume this interview, we will have the means for you to do it.
Yep. And
we're all about options here at Make Use Of / Technophilia Podcast. We want to give you options.
Yeah. So we'll have a full article about it. There'll be a video of the interview, and we're looking forward to this. It's just a way for us to give you, the podcast listeners, more content. And, we tried doing the interviews live, and it's just a huge pain in terms of coordinating. And a lot of people just can't do the time that we record the show live. So I like the flexibility. I'm working on getting an interview with Jackson Palmer from Dogecoin, so that's coming up too. So stay tuned, guys.
At some point, we may have Mike Matai from the Angry Video Game Nerd. We just did the interview with him on the site, so when that dies down and more stuff happens, we'll probably have him on. But I might like to have him on live with all of us. I think that might be more fun.
I think that might be more fun too. And we know
he's a fun guy.
We also know he has equipment to record himself in HD. So,
yes, he certainly does.
Yeah. So that shouldn't be a problem. Okay, guys, if you like the show, please take the time to leave us a review on iTunes. You see what I just did there? That's how you get positive reviews. You don't threaten people who are going to leave a negative review with a loss. If you leave
Otherwise, we're going to charge you $500 for the podcast.
Yeah, for a free.
I wouldn't be going leaving a negative review if I were you. I'm just saying.
Yeah. You guys
are going to hack you.
Dave, James is in the UK.
My ghetto voice.
Do you have any idea how terrible libel law is in the UK? Like, he's going to get you. You can follow us at The Technophilia on Twitter. Leave us a note. You can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Technophilia Podcast. Be sure to check out makeuseof.com for all the technology news and tips you'll ever want to know, including a version of The Rant you heard earlier today, a little later this week. And anything else you want to say to our listeners?
Love you guys.
Yeah, you guys are the best.
You're listening to Techno. You're listening to Techno. You're listening to Technophilia. Listening to Technophilia. Technophilia. You're listening. Technophilia. Doing that.
Well, I don't know who assigned that arbitrary rule that you can't drink in the morning, but I say bullshit.
Should we move on to the news then? Or you got something else?
We'll see.
Get off the internet and get to work.
I'm too perfect anyway. I got nothing to fix.
You're listening to Technophilia. Keep doing that. Technophilia.